Before the podcast starts, a little announcement, I guess. I'm handing over the torch to someone who's been on the podcast. How have you only been on the podcast once?
Only once.
Oh,
but the most recent episode.
Yeah, the most recent episode.
Yeah, so
Rachel will now conduct the interviews on the Limelight podcast.
Yes, sir.
So now it'll be the Limelight podcast with Bree and Rachel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bree will be producing it. I'll be interviewing the guests. Yeah, very exciting.
I'm so excited, though.
Yeah, no, I'm excited, too.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking me.
Of course.
Cool.
I hope you enjoy this podcast episode.
Me, too.
Bye.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rachel, and this is Musical Artists, A Conversation. On today's episode, we have Jaeya Bayani joining us. Welcome to the Limelight. Jaeya Bayani is a Filipina singer/songwriter currently pursuing a BA in music business at Columbia College Chicago with a double minor in hip-hop studies and pre-law. Today, we will be discussing how her most recent performances, how her cultural background has affected her relationship with her art, and why she's choosing to pursue both the legal and creative side of music. Awesome. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. I just want to start off with some basic questions. Just kind of wanting to know how you first got into music, especially the hip-hop and R&B side of music. So if you, had any inspirations growing up, or just go through how you got into music.
Well, I had very young parents growing up. My parents were 21 when they had me, so a lot of the music I listened to and a lot of the music that they and my aunts and uncles, like informally and not, because it's how Filipino families are, like they would listen to so much, like 112, Mint Condition, Stevie Wonder, Anita Baker. I was surrounded by like so much music, and especially Alicia Keys was huge. Especially we grew up in like that huge karaoke culture, so I was always singing, and I think I always had a knack for it. My grandparents would always have me sing at family parties, and that was always a part of me. So I always thought I was going to be an R&B vocalist. And then when I fell in love with Filipino rappers from the Bay Area, like Ruby Ibarra, Rocky Rivera, Classy, Faith Santilia, some of them are actually from Southern California, but they were all amazing spoken word poets who spoke to me a lot when it came to issues of generational trauma and this stereotype that Asian women are silent, which we're not. And so I think it really radicalized me, especially in high school, to not just pursue R&B and be like this kind of like princessy type of Filipina that you see in like so many of like so much of media, which is like not wrong at all if that's your vibe, but we needed more type of representation. I wanted to step into my artistry to do that.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's amazing. And I think it's like, I'm really glad you brought up the whole stereotype of what is put on to like Asian American women, and especially with, like the whole model minority myth and just the fact that we are looked at it in a certain way. I was wondering, was that a challenge with you and your family once you decided to kind of pursue this creative career, or was that something that they also had interest in music and everything, that they supported you? How was was that a challenging journey for you?
It like wasn't like your stereotypical where they were super strict because they were so young, and I think my dad already had that experience with his parents because I come from a hip-hop lineage as well, because my dad was a part of Rock Force Crew, which was the last U.S. crew to win that it's a national breaking battle, and he actually flew to Germany when he was 18, didn't tell my grandparents, and they won, and that was the last time the U.S. ever won that battle. So he was always like very rebellious in that way and always wanted me to follow my dreams and never was really the hovering parent. My mom is a little bit more, but she also, especially when I was applying to college, did everything she could to try to help me learn about like what was the best option for me. So I would have to say I'm really blessed with an amazing support system that's honestly always fought for me to just be me and be a kid, and I'm really grateful that I got to be a kid too, because that has also informed a lot of my art too.
Yeah, no, that is amazing. And like there are a lot of strict families out there, but I do feel like Filipino culture does like they value the arts and they value music a lot. So I was wondering also, you kind of talked about college and choosing that. What brought you to Chicago and Columbia?
So this is actually a funny story. I was actually supposed to go to Boston for Berklee College of Music.
Okay.
That was my dream school, and I got into my dream school, but it was so expensive, y'all. Like, I would it was just like, it was so expensive, and my dreams were crushed because I think all I ever wanted, especially because I gave up on the whole Juilliard thing, because I wasn't musical theater conservatory enough, but Berklee like really seemed like it could have been that place. But when I came to Columbia and I found out about their hip hop studies minor, and I found out about how practicum based their music business program was, including like a music publishing program, like what? I've never heard of that before. And so I would say now that Columbia is my dream school because it got me on the path of wanting to be a lawyer, which I never thought about, and learning how to serve my community in more tangible ways, and also helped me connect to dance, which now I'm a practicing dancer and hope to become better. And it's something that me and my dad are connecting over a lot. So it's benefit my life a lot choosing to go to Chicago. And it was just it just happened to be one of the colleges that I had on my list.
Yeah. Did you do dance or have any interest at law, like at all before, or was that purely something that happened once you came to Columbia?
I would say law, definitely not, was not even in the, I was like, music something, I don't know what I'm going to do, something with the Filipino community, I guess. But it was just like, definitely that, or being an artist was all I was thinking about. And then in terms of dancing, I was always intimidated because it was just like my dad was like just not just like the best in my eyes, but just a model for a lot of dancers of his generation. So I just was like, I'm just gonna stick with singing, I'm not even gonna touch that. So being drawn to it now and being able to do it now has been really cool.
How do you think tapping into that experience with dance obviously has a very like cultural impact, and that connection with your dad, how has that affected both your art and your personal life?
I think tapping into dance has made me appreciate the genres that I'm a part of a bit more, because it's helped me learn about hip hop, not just as like, rapping as it's presented to in, our mainstream culture today, but hip hop as a culture, because it has 5 elements or 10 elements depending on what you believe and what you have been brought up in. But it is a whole culture, and people kind of miss out on that, and people miss out on the fact that there is a whole hip hop studies, and people are doctors and have PhDs in critical studies and postmodern studies and dance studies, and that needs to be recognized, especially at a school like at Columbia, which has a very rare foundation that a lot of the dance forms that they teach are not conservatory and modern styles. They're Afro-diasporic movements that are from the Caribbean as well. And so it's just important to highlight that, and I think tapping into that and understanding the importance and having amazing teachers like Kelsa Rieger Haywood, like Brave Monk, T-Bugs, it just helped me appreciate this culture that I'm able to be a guest to.
What is double minoring with both hip-hop and law like? Since obviously it sounds crazy. When I read that first, I was like, I could not imagine doing that, but I mean, it sounds like you're very passionate about both of the topics, so yeah.
I will tell you, okay, I am so grateful for being able to do everything like with music business and South by Southwest, which just happened this past weekend, and like being able to do both of these minors. I'm taking 6 classes right now, and right before this podcast, like I'm not even gonna lie, I was like taking a nap because I've been so burnt out from just being caught up in all those classes. But one, I will have to say the professors have always been amazing. I've always been blessed with amazing professors who poured so much into me, so I'm really not complaining about the quality of education or what I'm learning in those classes, and I'm extremely grateful for that. I'm just burnt out because nobody should be taking that many classes, but it's the only way I'm going to be able to maybe pay my bills in the future if I'm a lawyer.
Yeah, I'm also taking 6 classes, and I was like, I didn't think it was that much of a difference from 5, but it really is.
Oh my gosh.
But, almost there. We're almost at spring break, so hopefully you can get a little break.
I'm very, well, it's like also, and then it's technically 7 with the artist management practicum, because, being an artist is like a whole other, and I'm working, and I have like 2 remote jobs, so...
Oh, it's okay. It'll all work out in the future.
Showcase, yeah.
And you just mentioned South by Southwest, which I wanted to ask you. How was that performance there? I know some other people who went to South by Southwest, and they were like mentioning that you performed. So if you wanted to speak a little bit about that.
I just want to say the Artist Management Practicum team is the best team ever, and they were so amazing, because immediately as soon as we touched down in Austin, like my face was like all over Austin, which was really weird to see, because I'm like, before this class I was just even debating getting back into music, so it was really cool seeing how much work they put into that. And it was just amazing, not just being there as an artist, because obviously the showcase was amazing. We packed up the house, which I wasn't expecting. There were so many non-Columbia people there, but being able to see like so many Asian artists from like not just the US but like across the diaspora there was super super cool. I got to see Twee, who's another artist from the Bay Area. Shout out to the Bay Area. And it was just amazing, and also being there, seeing like going to the different sessions and seeing how they're trying to diversify the music industry and trying to make it at least a little bit more equitable was a little bit encouraging. But I feel like I would like to see more, especially in Southeast Asia, because I feel like we've been used as a target market for so long, and it's a shame that we still feel like there's not a market for our own people there. Right. So I think we need to tap into that a little bit more. I'm just saying.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I wanted to know a little bit, since you are from the Bay Area, and at least in my experience, I feel like there's a higher population of Asian Americans there compared to like where we go to school now and everything. What has that transition from being in the Bay Area to Chicago, and now you get to go travel to like Austin and see even more diversity? What are some things that you have recognized and learned, and what are things that you hope that you can change in the industry?
I think no matter where I've gone, I see the same positives and the same struggles in the community. I will say Chicago, I do love for the fact that its dance community is so much more open than the Bay Area. It's like you can't just go to the park or go to the floors with your friends. There's not even a floors in the Bay Area that you could go to dance with your friends. But here, like, you could go and do that, and like you're not gonna be like questioned, or like nobody's gonna come up to you and like ask you like what you're doing with your friends. Like you're just having a great time. But I think in terms of the Filipino community, you still see a lot of the same like crab mentality and the struggle to be able to get seen and empower each other, because you're fighting for your own cause, or you're fighting, you know, to be highlighted yourself. So I would like to see, I guess, a little bit more community, and that's why me and my friend Callie are throwing this Kapwa showcase, because we want to highlight so many of like the amazing Filipino American creatives that people may have not even heard about in Chicago. Like Classic Studios is run by a Filipino, and they've amazing albums. Like SZA's Control album came out of that studio. I think Tyler the Creator and some other folks as well. So it's just like we definitely want to highlight people not only in the music industry but photography, creative direction. Yeah, I think it's inspired me, seeing a lot of the parallels between these different regions, and also seeing the love makes me hopeful that there's growth for our community.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the work that you're doing is going to help with that a lot. And I agree, it's not just music in the Filipino community. It's literally every single type of art. Oh, yeah. So I think it's definitely going to go places.
Thank you.
And you, like we've talked about, you don't only just do performances, and you don't just make your own music. You do you've studied the legal aspect of it, and you've worked like representing other artists and stuff. How does that help you kind of be a more, I guess, rounded out artist yourself, since you have so many different perspectives of the music industry?
I think I'm always just very protective of my team and the people that are working around me. Like I personally like didn't work in like the public facing. I'm more of operations and administration. I've done that for like 4 years. So I'm very much like, I know how to help a business run smoothly, and communication is probably like my number one asset. If like you were to ask my supervisor or anybody that I've ever worked with, and especially my team. So I think now, especially being part of the management practicum team, I'm very protective of like who's representing me, but also making sure that everybody's on schedule and is communicating the right way, because that's, you know, personally what's most important to me. And I always like doing that. And especially with, you know, my teachers and my assignments, I always give 100%. So I expect everybody around me to do the same.
Yeah. Was that something that you were always like growing up, or you kind of had to adapt to once you got into this more deep?
It was something my dad and my mom always instilled in me, because my mom's work ethic, like I don't even know how she does what she does, but she's amazing. And my dad too, as an artist, like he, you know, was a dancer for Cirque du Soleil, and granted it's like not justifiable necessarily like how they treat their artists, but you know, he was forced to perform a lot when he was like injured or like not in the best condition. And so seeing the way that he had to push himself as an artist, it's like, for me, I'm like, there's not really an excuse for me as a business person or as an artist to not challenge myself.
Yeah, that makes sense. And how would you say like having that type of work ethic and that type of motivation affects your creative process? And if you could also just walk through your creative process with like your music, that'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've tried to come to a place where they're kind of working in tandem, because there definitely comes a place where it's like you're so caught up in the business aspect of it that it breaks into the music part. So that's why I have dancing, which is like there's not going to be any type of business, any type of stress, and like I'm only going to battle or do like a prelims or do something like that if I genuinely am feeling good about it. But other than that, like doing that, making sure I have like a solid workout routine. I work out like almost every single day or at least like 4 to 5 times a week. Really just helps me get in the mindset where I'm not thinking about work all the time and I'm actually taking care of myself. So I would feel like I feel like I don't really have much time to have self-care or readjust, but that's how I kind of keep everything a little balanced.
I agree with that, definitely. Was mental health like a conversation for you again growing up as well, or did you kind of have to get more into that and explore that once you got to college and had access to that as you got older?
I think it was something I kind of discovered on my own. And I was like, even though my parents didn't really get into mental health at the time, they were really supportive about me going to therapy and using resources at my school. Like, I went to, luckily, a lot of schools in the Bay Area have like wellness centers. So I would take advantage of the fact that I'd have free counselors or just people to talk to. And like, you know, me and my friends would have lots of deep conversations about mental health. So I think it was nice being surrounded by other people that were kind of going through the same things. But that's not saying that it was always like the most like healthy conversations. You know, we're always still learning and, you know, healing.
Do you think that sharing your music with the world and like with a lot of different audiences has helped your mental health?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just nice seeing the love and seeing people resonate with it. Like, honestly, like I just want to share the Bayani EP so that there are other brown girls that want to rap and like just want to talk about how they grew up and not feel like they have to like front about like a certain lifestyle. Like they have to talk about certain things. They can just talk about being them and what they like to do. And yeah, I mean that's what a lot of the women I look up to did. So I want to continue doing that.
Yeah, I wanted to actually ask you about what artists, not even just musicians, but any type of media that you consumed throughout your life that has inspired you to kind of pursue this and make it your mission to give that representation to other, people of color out there.
I'm trying to think. I mean, a lot of it's like music, like a lot of the amazing like women and rappers, and obviously like rappers from the Bay Area that I talked about. And I think besides like Filipino American rappers, I'm inspired by like I would listen to like a lot of hieroglyphics and Too Short and Andre Nicotina and People Under the Stairs, which family like introduced me to. Like a lot of these really amazing rappers were introduced me to me through family and a lot of this culture as well. And then there's also a strong mobile DJ culture in the Bay Area. If you read Oliver Wang's book about the San Francisco mobile DJ crew in the Bay Area, that was something that I was constantly surrounded by because a lot of my aunts and uncles were DJs or were in bands. So I was definitely a music baby. And then there's also a graffiti culture that's based out of, you know, Filipinos in the Bay Area. So that's also something I was exposed to. So I would say the culmination of all of that and knowing that we exist in these spaces and knowing that there's more growth for us in these spaces, I think is what inspired me the most.
Do you still like collaborate and talk with your family, not even just like your mom and dad, but like you mentioned like your aunts and uncles about your music?
Yeah, like actually because my dad came out of semi-retirement. Actually, he just judged the dance department at Columbia's their 10th anniversary of the B series. Him and my uncle came out. So we're like talking about doing a podcast together, maybe me helping him with like some business, like the business side of it, him getting back into like making a website and like all this promotional stuff. So it'll be cool. It'll be cool to kind of just help him out and us do some cool dad-daughter routines together.
Yeah, that is really cute. I love that. What do you think that like being so closely tied to your family and your work life has kind of helped you with and helped them with too?
I think it's been helpful and just like us getting closer. It's not like we don't get on each other's nerves, or sometimes I'm just like, stop giving me advice. I just need to do this like myself. But it's like also my parents are like really good at not hovering and letting me do my own thing. So I think, I don't know, I feel like we just support each other. We just do a really good job at supporting each other and pointing out the things that we need like to improve on.
Yeah. Do they go to your performances a lot? Or I mean, now that you're here it might be a little difficult because I'm assuming they're still in the Bay Area. Yeah. But do they show up for that stuff?
Oh yeah, they like 100%. Like they will show up to as many as they can. But now they're getting to the point where it's like, now you're getting all these bigger opportunities. You need to like just have these on your own with your friends, and like, you know, of course they're proud of me, but they're like, we want you to experience these things on your own as an adult and really appreciate them. So I think that's like the next step, or that's like the next step of growth, is knowing my family can't always be with me.
And what is your thought on that? Do you enjoy kind of having that more independence and focusing more on the people you have here, or is that like a weird adjustment for you?
I don't know. I feel like it makes me a better person to kind of do that because I feel like I'm more myself when I'm around them too. It also makes me just separate the work side of it from them because then I feel like I'll probably just be on their nerves and asking them the whole time if I did a good job or not. And it'll
Yeah.
ruin the experience for them. So it's probably better that they just like live stream it or watch it later or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. And now that you are getting like these bigger opportunities in like a lot of different other places, what has that transformation kind of been like for you?
Kind of surreal. I'm still trying to process it because like I'm in the middle of midterms and like writing essays and like reading scholarly essays and that like so it's like that is at the forefront of my mind, but I also have all these other things. So I feel like maybe it'll hit me once I'm already graduated. I don't feel like it's quite hit me yet. I'm still processing the fact that I've like this event date, like this even South by Southwest, that wasn't the end. So
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just trying to be grateful and not be stressed out and just dance all the stress away. That's how I'm handling it right now.
Hopefully all of the effort that you're putting in, like it'll hit you how much it pays off in the end. And I think it will. Do you think like this is just something that I'm always curious about when I meet like musical performers, but when you get on stage, what do you think that you like don't process it while you're up there or that you like black out, or is that something that you're like present in?
Oh, I'm conscious the whole time and it's like I'm scared. I'm so scared. And it's like you couldn't tell, but and you also wouldn't know this, but like, you know, I'm not religious. I'm more spiritual, but I pray during my set. Like I don't like if you watch my live streams, I'm like holding my necklace and like praying to my ancestors because I actually just learned about like some things about my lineage recently, so that's like been giving me more power when or like more not more power but a lot more energy when I'm praying. So I'll be doing that and the whole time while I'm singing I'm just like trying to regulate my breathing, trying like you'll see me holding my diaphragm like this and just trying to make sure that I'm breathing and saying everything right and like I'll be looking at my friends most of the time to not be nervous, honestly.
Do you get the same level of nervous from the first performance you've ever done to like now, would you say? Or has it kind of lessened over time?
It's lessened over time because it's like the more reps that you do, you kind of know what you're going to say and I kind of know what filler sentences I'm going to say in between. But also it's like you learn how to interact more and have fun with the audience, which has been really cool. Like I really love talking to the audience more now. I was really shy, but I love it now.
No, that seems scary, but like it's only the beginning, so I'm sure it's gonna get even easier as time goes on.
Oh yeah, the call and response. I'm like, I don't know how to do that yet.
Did you do that at South by Southwest?
No.
Oh, okay.
I was like, should I? I was like, no. I'm gonna like choke and like say I'm gonna do it wrong.
What was how many people were there?
I don't even know. I just remember getting really nervous because it just became really crowded before my set and I don't know how many people exactly were there, but I'll ask.
Was that your biggest or what has been your biggest crowd?
I feel like that might have been my biggest crowd.
Okay.
Because Uncommon Ground was pretty intimate. It was like only like 50 people and I feel like that bar was definitely like a lot more. And it was like right on 6th, like right on 6th Street.
And 50 already sounds like a lot. So
yeah.
Do you prefer like intimate or do you think that playing to a bigger audience is easier?
I mean, I think for me, I prefer it being more intimate, but I think for the goal of the class, like, you know, bigger is always better. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I'm sure there's ways to make it feel more intimate with it being bigger. Definitely something to play around with.
That's just a me thing with like being an artist and like being shy too.
I feel like a lot of other artists are the same way. Yeah. But would you consider yourself like an introvert as opposed to okay.
I definitely like get my energy from being alone. Like
I see.
I recharge. But I love being around people. Like I definitely love being around people and I'm like love hanging out with my friends. But it's like there's definitely I have friends that understand that like, oh, like I just need to go take a nap right now.
Oh yeah. No, that's definitely important. Especially with you taking basically 7 classes. You need that nap time. How is like being an introvert while doing performances and not even that, like in all of the paths that you're choosing, you have to talk a lot to other people. So what has that been like for you?
Learning that I can't be an introvert all the time and like I just have to kind of step outside of myself and like, you know, challenge myself a little bit more, but also knowing when to take a step back
Mm-hmm.
because I'm really bad at that. I will just keep going until I burn myself out. Like, so that's a really good question. I'm still learning how to do it. So I will just try my best to stick to my boundaries of, hey, like I need a little bit of space. Like I can't get back to you right now, or I'll just respond later after like I've done my thing and not feel like I have to explain myself or feel bad for it. But that's something that I'm still working on. Like I don't know. I'm still working on it. Still working on it.
I think at this age, I feel like everyone's like, we're all kind of trying to figure it out. So that I think you'll definitely figure it out over time. And with that, like the whole idea of being burnt out and the fact that you are like working at so many different, again, like how I said, different perspectives of the music industry, is there one part that you would like to pursue the most? When I was reading like your bio and everything, you talked a lot about wanting to, you know, pursue a law degree to represent other artists like you. So is that what you think you would be the end goal for you and what you'd be continuing to do further in your life, or do you want to switch around?
I think definitely like I wanted to go into intellectual property specifically because it's not just entertainment law, and I don't think I specifically want to deal with people that are wealthy. Like I want to have like work with, and like not saying that entertainment law is all dealing with wealthy people, but I want to have the opportunity and flexibility to work with artists that are economically underrepresented and who don't even know what intellectual property is or know what copyright is or like know the difference between copyright and trademark. And I definitely want to help people within my community because I feel like when I talk to Filipino American people, they don't really know what music publishing is, and I think I want to either have my own firm or work at a company that's more focused on that. And I am working for a company like that now, so my plan is maybe to hopefully build like a legal department there. But otherwise, like when it comes to the law, I'm also like interested in maybe seeing if I can get into things with immigration or any public policy or local policy in the Bay Area, because I feel like that also impacts like if you can make a change in education or the way that children are taught, or just being able to better protect a lot of these artists who may be coming over undocumented. I think that's something that I definitely want to look into as well, that I'm interested in the future.
Yeah. How is like the opportunities, like you said, you're already working with a company that follows a lot of the ideas that you're interested in. And so what have your experiences with like the jobs you've had, the internships you've had, how has that shaped where you are right now?
So yeah, I worked at the Luna Company, which is it's an umbrella company for a global artist management agency, the Zion Agency, which is like based in the Philippines and in the US, and as well as Traverse Music Group, which is on hiatus right now, but it was a music distribution company. So we serve not just Filipino American artists, but Asian American artists and Asian artists across the diaspora. So it was really cool. One of the projects that we actually distributed was kind of an Asian American history album, and each song was dedicated to a different like topic or a different point in Asian American history. And so that was like it was really cool being a part of projects that I actually believed in, artists that I actually listened to. And the person that I worked for, years before I even worked for her, I contacted the artist that she was managing at the time, and I was like, hey, can you be my mentor? It like never worked out. I got to be in her music video because like a bunch of like Filipinas in the Bay Area were able to be a part of her music video. And then I ended up interning for her manager years later through through an interview that I did for like my economics class for like female entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So that's how that started. And so ever since then, I'm like, it's possible to do what I love and also be able to serve my community. And I think that's just been my drive ever since.
Yeah, no, that's definitely good. And I feel like that's a hard thing at this day and age for a lot of people in the arts to do, is to do what they like and also pursue exactly the idea that they've had in their head. So I'm glad that you've been able to get that in a lot of different opportunities. Is there anything coming up that you're trying to get into right now? Like any new projects or any new jobs or anything that you've been looking at?
I think just trying to figure out what my next step is in terms of like getting a job for the summer, because I'm going to be studying for the LSAT and like focusing on applying to colleges after this. I think I'm going to take a year off. But in terms of any new projects, maybe I'm going to try to get a new album out. I'm honestly so busy right now, so I can't even think of anything.
Yeah.
I can't even think of anything else. So I'm like, once the showcase is over, once I graduate, maybe I'll think about putting out an album or working more on actually this book that I've been writing for a long time, which is Black and Filipinx Solidarity, History, and Hip Hop Culture, which I presented at the Show Improve conference at the 10th anniversary B series that I was talking about earlier. And it's this conference that's put on by Dr. Imani Kai Johnson, who's this um, amazing activist and writer within dance studies and critical studies and hip hop studies as well. Um, and so I really want to continue that project and hopefully publish it and add more to it, because I only touch really on breaking and DJ culture in the Filipino American scene,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to touch a little bit more on our shared history and the effects of that. So yeah, that's something in the long term though. That's something in the
I
long
love
term.
that so much, because I feel like, especially like, I don't know, in our culture and stuff, it can be overlooked, the intersections between the Black community and the Filipino community and the Asian community as a whole.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool to hear that you're writing that book. How is like, do you pursue like writing and other forms of art like that a lot, or is this something that you're kind of exploring?
It's not, yeah, it's something I don't talk about a lot. Like, to a lot of my friends, when I tell them, they're like, what, you're writing a book? But that, like, going to an academic school, like, so if you're from the Bay Area and you know Lowell High School, it's like a very very college prep school, and they do very much stress academics. And so I did get a very rigorous like education in writing, and that's something I was always very decent in. And I think that's something that I took, like, something that I used to do in high school, because I was never taught about my own history, was I would use every free prompt to research whether it was about like the history of Black music, or if it was the history of Filipino American culture. I would just write my own essays and like literally go on like digs of scholarly articles. Like everything that we're doing in college, I've been doing since high school, to try to just research my own culture. And I took that into now, where I finally have teachers that are encouraging me to do that.
Yeah.
And so like that's where this whole book came from. Is actually one of the teachers, Kelsa, inspired me, and she was like, you should write an ethnography like about this whole thing.
That is really like inspiring, because I feel like myself, and I'm sure a lot of other people, if it isn't given to you academically at a young age, then not a lot of people go out of their way to research that on their own and to connect the stuff that you are learning in school to your own culture, and the stuff that you actually want to research more about is really cool. Do you think that like having that skill of writing helped you in your music career, or is this just something more on the side that's a little bit separate?
I actually feel like it helped me connect a lot of my mentors at the school a little bit more than my music, because music, like, it helps me with songwriting here and there, and like obviously embedding a different cultural meaning, like with the music. Like I feel like I do have a unique subject matter, maybe not compared to other Filipino rappers, but in general to the in the hip hop scene. But when it comes to like my writing itself, I feel like it has helped me connect with a lot of the amazing professors and thinkers at this school that have really shaped my perception of the world in general, and like how you should just view other human beings, and the truths that you should view history in as well, so, and nuances as well. They've taught me a lot about nuance, and I've applied that to my music and creativity as well. So I think writing has shaped that more, like just more of my thinking as a person.
Since you've been able to interact with a lot of different mentors and influences, how has your mindset of how you interact with other people now changed? Are you more aware of like your own behaviors and the skill sets that you own?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's made me a little bit more open to learn, and not being so serious, like not being over serious about myself, but always being open to learn about somebody else's culture, their foundation. Or like I have a lot of friends that are actually who are dance majors, and I feel like before I would just kind of be nervous or be like, I'm not willing to try it, but it's a form of respect to engage and to interact in that way. So I realized that, like, it's like you have to step outside of yourself, and you have to be willing to learn and be a critical thinker, and not take everything at face value. So I think that's really important. And I think I give people the benefit of the doubt more too, because of that.
Would you say coming to Chicago and being in like this creative school has surrounded you more with a diverse group of people, not only like in a bunch of different ways, ethnicities, majors, everything? Would you say that like you've experienced that more than maybe when you're in the Bay Area?
I would say, because the school that I went to is primarily like white and East Asian, I would say yes. I won't. I mean, in terms of like the Asian American Filipino population, there's still not a lot here, and I feel like even if we are, we're a little bit cliquey, y'all. So I feel like we need to fix that. Just saying, for the future generations at this school. But I will say I've been able to connect with so many amazing women. Like my best friend here is Latina American, and she's like we talk about our culture together a lot, and like our shared frustrations with colonization, and like a lot of the parallels about being a brown woman, and especially in the music industry program where you're surrounded by lots of white men who talk a lot. I'm just saying, like, no shade, but you guys talk a lot.
No, there's shade.
Yeah. Let us talk. Just saying. But, you know, I think, yeah, it's helped me see different perspectives. And if anything, it's made me even more protective and for my fellow women and femmes, like, especially like black and brown women and femmes. Like, I'm actually analyzing the master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. And a lot of it's like about not just tolerating difference, but having interactions and like actually seeing ways that we can make tangible differences with this, with recognizing this difference. And that's empowered me more to uplift my fellow friends and speak up for them when I see things that are not right, that are going on, which happen a lot more than you would think.
No, I definitely agree with you. Colombia can be diverse in a lot of ways, but, you know, the Asian populations are only 4% of this whole, like, the student body. And it is hard to, like, break into the groups that are already pre-existing. And so I think it is really cool that you went out of your way and you've been able to form connections not only in your own communities, but in so many different ones. Yeah. Well, that's it for the episode. Thank you, Jaeya, for being here. I felt like this was like I feel like I learned so much just from listening to you talk. Like, you're involved in a lot, and I really hope that, you know, it's definitely going to go places.
Thank you.
Was there like any social media handles that you wanted to shout out there?
You can follow me on my website. It's JaeyaBayani.com. I always try to push people towards that because I pay for it myself. So please. But yeah, also, can I ask you?
Yeah.
Are you Filipino?
Oh, yes, I am.
Okay. Just want to make sure. I just wanted to ask. But yeah, that's amazing. And thank you for having me on this podcast. Yeah. It's amazing.
It was like really great because like I said, the population here of Asian Americans is not that high.
Yeah.
And so, you know, getting to talk to other Filipino Americans and like in the creative industry is always amazing. Yes. So thank you for coming on. Like, I really did enjoy everything that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are like such a talented, like, hardworking person. And I hope you get some time to take a break soon because I cannot imagine everything that you're going through right now. It's insane. And midterms just for everybody right now was a lot.
Yeah.
At least for me, that's how I felt. So yeah, hopefully a well-deserved break is coming soon. But yeah, thank you for tuning in.